In our last video, we discussed how to lie and get away with it, and the main conclusion was that we will believe you, or at least suspend our disbelief, if your account is specific, accurate, and knowledgeable. So it sounds simple enough. We just put a lot of specific detail into our stories, thus creating an effect of verisimilitude. But it is, of course, a wee bit more complicated than that, since unless you're Dan Brown, the details can't just be any old details. Dan Brown is the undisputed champion of the irrelevant detail. Only those with a keen eye would notice his 14-carat gold bishop's ring with purple amethyst, large diamonds, and hand-tooled mitre crochet applique. Hi there, nice to meet you. Wait, hang on, is that a 14-carat gold bishop's ring with purple amethyst, large diamonds, and hand-tooled mitre crochet applique? Or what about, he was sitting all alone in the enormous cabin of a Falcon 2000 EX corporate jet as it bounced its way through turbulence. In the background, the dual Pratt & Whitney engines hummed evenly. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm on an aeroplane and it's going through turbulence, the only thing I'm worrying about is that there are engines. I'm not sitting there like, alright, I've got the dual Pratt & Whitneys on. Good to see. Yep. They always work well with a Falcon 2000 EX. So how do you make sure your details are relevant? Well, normally a detail's only worth mentioning if it's noteworthy for whichever character you're focusing on at that point. Some things are noteworthy to most people. Most of us, if we see a particularly glorious sunset or a desiccated cactus or a 50-foot waterfall, these are things that we tend to notice and register consciously. Similarly, if we see a dead seagull in the gutter or an archipelago of mould on the living room wall, we'll tend to register these things. But there are all sorts of other details that we don't pay much attention to and tend not to register consciously. We probably don't consciously register the colour of the carpet in the library, or whether the teaspoon in the cafe has a pattern on its handle, or what sort of engines are powering our airplane. Of course, there's some things that, although they're unimportant or unperceivable to most people, are very important to a few people. Had Dan Brown's protagonist been an aeronautical engineer, then maybe it would have made sense to tell us that the Falcon 2000 EX was powered by dual Pratt & Whitney engines. That's probably the sort of thing that's very important to an aeronautical engineer. But of course, he's not an aeronautical engineer. He's a symbologist, which isn't even a real job. So the details you choose should be character appropriate. Don't tell me your character saw a shabunkin with nacreous scales if what she saw was a goldfish. But if she works for the Federation of British Aquatic Societies, don't tell me she saw a goldfish if what she saw was a shabunkin with nacreous scales. Occasionally, the situation may arise where your characters are disinterested in something that's actually really important for the story. Suppose your characters go for a cup of coffee. It would be unforgivable to tell us what colour the cups are, or whether they're made of china, or if one of them has a chip on the rim. But imagine your plot was about someone, a renowned symbologist, let's say, who is on a quest to find the Holy Grail. And during this quest, the renowned symbologist is in a temple where he's handed a cup of water, and he's so busy looking for clues that he doesn't pay any attention to the cup that he's holding, which is in fact the item that he is searching for. In that situation, even though the cup's not very important to the renowned symbologist, if you were telling the story in a third-person point of view, then it might well be an idea to give us a detailed description of what that very special cup looks like. In doing so, you'd be creating a degree of dramatic irony, because by describing the cup in detail, You'd be directing our focus towards it, showing us that the cup is important, something that the renowned symbologist has yet to notice. And this might create a degree of suspense, whereby the readers are hoping that the renowned symbologist is going to recognize the importance of the cup he's holding. And this is how good writers use specific detail. It's not just there to make the whole thing a wee bit more believable, rather specific detail is the primary means through which the story and all its emotion is conveyed. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your writing.